Okay, so coming out of the third chorus, the second one with that extension on it, we are to the solo section. The solo section starts with basically the same thing that we're doing in the intro, the same rhythm. Okay, but over that we're going to be doing that A note again, and we're just going to be doing just holding that note and doing some vibrato, and then we hit while the bar is depressed, we hit the low E string and bring it back up to pitch. Then we start the harmonics that lead into the solo, which are exactly like the second time we went through the harmonics in the intro. So everything is using two strings. So we have the 7th fret, we're going to pick the harmonics of the D and the G strings together. The same bar dips. Then at the 5th fret, the D and the G. Then back to the 7th. And then at the 12th. Okay, now on the recording here, he leads into the solo with a slide guitar part that goes, it's with an actual slide, but you don't really have to have that. You can just kind of start at the 10th fret and just kind of pick the 10th fret on the B string with your 3rd finger and slide up, and then we get to the actual beginning of the solo, which is this. So we have just two big unison bend, and the fast lick is going to be a hammer on from 12 to 14 to 15 on the B string, and then you're going to pick 12, 14, 15 on the high E. So it's kind of a feel of going from legato to picking, which can be a little bit awkward. I personally like to pick it with a downstroke on the 2nd string, and then up, down, up on the high E. Okay, so after doing that a number of times, we come back and we go, you end it with a slight slide up the string on that last pinky note, up the high E string. Then you start picking, kind of tremolo picking the high E string. And then starting from the 5th fret, sliding up and kind of doing slides to nowhere, really, while adding those open string, high E strings in the middle of it. So we have this. Okay, so it's just a random effect. He's got a lot of effects on his tone, a lot of reverb and delays, and it really gives it that huge sound. And then he hits a big artificial harmonic at the 9th fret on the G string with a whole step bend. So we have that whole step bend at the 9th fret on the G string. Then we're back to this. What's going on there? It's more the 2nd fret on the G string bends while you're doing some random harmonics over it. Do a slow release on the note and then pull off to the open G string. And then pull off from 2 to 0 on the D string as well. Then we had this next line. So that is going to be, it's leading up to the tapping section of the solo, which is the part that most people recognize. And that right here is going to be the 4th fret on the A string twice. We're doing palm muting on the way up. And then 7th fret twice. So down, up, down, up. And then 5 and 7 on both twice on the D string. And then 6 and 9 on the G string, both hit twice. And then we're going to play 8 and 11 on the B string. Now the 8 is the only one that's going to be hit twice, and you hit 11 once. All right, and that takes us to the tapping line. Now the tapping line sounds like this. So what's going on there, slowly, is you're going to tap, it's the same lick, you're always tapping at the 12th fret on the B string. And then you're going to pull off to the open string. Now whether you like to tap and pull upward or pull downward, doesn't matter. But just try to keep it consistent. So what you really need to learn is just the notes that he's tapping down here in the left hand, because that's the only thing that's actually changing. So we have a tap. The pattern is just tap at the 12, pull off to the open string, and then hammer on to the B string with your second finger. The first one we hammer on is 11. Then you do the phrase again, but this time hammer on to the left hand at the 9th fret. And then the 7th fret. Okay, and the next 3 notes you hammer on are 9, 7, and 5 in the left hand. Okay. The next notes you hammer on are going to be 7, 5, and 4 in the left hand. Okay. And the next notes you're going to hammer on will be 5, 4, and 2. And then you end up going back to 4 and back to 2. All right, and then we're going to end this solo section with a lot of noise. He starts, hit the harmonics at the 5th fret on the B and the G strings together. Now this section right here is a lot of layers of sound effects, guitar effects, vocal effects, sirens, everything. So it's kind of hard to completely recreate, obviously, unless you have about a year in a studio. But this, you can kind of recreate it by hitting a lot of harmonics around. A lot of noise, some low notes, let the strings go completely slack, and then hit some harmonic. I'm just kind of depressing the bar, and then just hitting the harmonic at the 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret with some bars and stuff. We do end with that siren effect, which we can recreate quite convincingly on the guitar. Come up to the 12th fret here, and hammer on and pull off from the 15th fret. This is on the B string. And just slowly depress the bar. Okay? And then that takes us to the outro section, all right? So don't worry about if all those parts for the little sound effecty section at the end of the main solo. It's there, it's mostly effects. Just create a bunch of noise using those harmonics and that siren at the end of it. It happens very quickly, but it is a part that you're just gonna have to wing it. There is no real guitar lines there. Okay? All right, so stay tuned for the outro section.